Welcome to the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast, where real people have real conversations about money, mindset, and making moves. I'm your host, Jake Evans, and this show isn't about fluff or hype. It's about educating our community, sharing stories, and giving you the tools to make better decisions in business and in life. Let's dive in. All right, good morning and welcome again to the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast. Today's theme is leadership, community impact, and the power of aligning passion with purpose. Today, my guest is Quinn Waters. Welcome, Quinn. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Happy Thankful Thursday to you.
All right. Thank you for that. And I'm really grateful for you showing up today. You know, we're talking to someone raised in Nashville with a passion for people. Quinn has turned her love of psychology into a career of leadership and service. Now in California, she's a rising voice in real estate and community impact with Fresno, YPN, and beyond. Quinn, so we're going to start with you were born in Nashville.
Yes.
Correct? Raised in Nashville. What was it like growing up out there in Nashville?
Oh, goodness. It was a lot of comfort food.
I bet. The food down there is amazing. I've been down there, so yeah.
Well, growing up in the home that I grew up in, my mother was the cook. Everybody loved a good meal. So everything was from scratch. But the part about it, I didn't have a love and passion for cooking because it was something that I had to learn being the only girl in the home. So I had to learn how to cook, make chicken dressing, fried chicken, meatloaf, ton of greens. You know, and the list goes on. Chest pies, only things you get in the South.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and you weren't just in Nashville. We were having a conversation off Michael a while ago. You spent some time where in Tampa, was it?
Yes, I picked up my career with the company that I had actually moved here with, T-Mobile, communication, customer service. I moved to Tampa Bay, lived there for about 8 years.
Okay. So you, with your upbringing, and food was a big influence. So how did that upbringing, and it's strange because I'm going to ask this question. I want to know where the transition came in to taking it from your upbringing of food and those are your memories, going into psychology and helping others.
I'm glad you really said that because I think what really hits home is, you know, when you think about the South, you think about the good food, you think about the hospitality, but one of the good memories that I have of my mother was her passion, and she poured everything into cooking. And even though I hated when the holidays came because I was one of the people that had to go in there, crack the egg this way, pour it this way, measure it. She didn't use measuring cups, but she did everything from her heart. Yeah. And health became something huge to me because I lost my mom to diabetes 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So that's why that memory is one of those things that just sits there for me. And out here on the West Coast, the food is not the same.
No, and you know what? I've got friends who are from there and from Mexico and from other countries, and they say, California's got some really good food, but it doesn't match the home. It doesn't match the core, the root of where that food came from. And I even know that. I've been to Mexico. I've tasted the food in Mexico, and the real Mexican food here isn't really there either. Because I think there's a culture surrounding it. Now, I know some real good, like homemade tortillas and things like that I get in my house are real.
Now, you're really talking the way I like to eat because that is my favorite food. I love tacos. I can eat that every single day.
Right.
So that's a win. I need to come to your house and eat.
So were there any early mentors or lessons that shaped your outlook?
Actually, yes. I aged out of foster care.
Really?
I had a social worker that really shaped me and, you know, let me know that things were possible. She really poured into me. She really knew this little girl that I once knew, that I once was. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get emotional, so.
You know what? My listeners like that, by the way. So just so you know, it's okay. It's okay. You know, I want to go into that a little. Can I go into that a little bit more? Do you mind?
And you sure you can.
I really, because I'm a product of foster care, not foster care, group homes. Okay. My family hates it when I say foster care. So it's group homes. I was in group homes. Okay. I was a runner. I ran from family. I ran from everything good in my life. And I ended up group home to group home to group home. So you come from this, okay, great family, food, going to college, and then boom. I mean, the foster care was probably from before college, but how did that happen? Tell me.
Well, I was 14 years old, and I went into foster care because I had became a teen parent.
Got it. Okay. And that's tough.
Oh, yeah, very tough.
Yeah, I know. I have someone in my life who it's the same. She's got 4 kids, and they're really close in age, so you know what that says. It's like, and it's tough, and it takes a toll on somebody. So how did that put you in a place, to want to be in psychology and what pushed you? You said you aged out, so obviously at 18 you says, okay, I'm out. They said, you're okay, you're out of here, go do life. How did that launch you into what you're doing, or psychology and communications and all that? How did that happen?
Yeah, that is the crazy part about it. I have this thing that I tell people, my life is crazy. I am crazy because it's just been craziness around me my entire life. I did not have the vision to study psychology. Actually, it's the fact that I aged out of foster care and went through the things that I went through that landed me in foster care, and also coming out of a relationship that just wasn't so good for me, because we don't realize that we follow our traumas. Mm-hmm. And so our traumas lead us to bad spaces, bad relationships, because it feels comfort. So it was a lot of abuse in the home that I grew up in. I talked about food because that's one of the great memories, right? And that's probably one of the greatest memories that may have had, even though it would have been rocky still at the same time. But
I think we all have that. I think we all have some form of, I'm sorry, but if you told me you grew up in a home where everything was perfect, I'm going to call you a liar, because everybody has problems at home. Absolutely. Everybody.
Yes.
So, and some worse than others. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we do that. I mean, I remember trips to Disneyland. I went to the Queen Mary and the Reuben E. Lee every year for my birthday.
Wow.
Down in Southern California. So those are the things I remember, but I also remember some of the other things that I tell in my story. I wrote a book and I told it in my book. And those are the things that I don't talk about often, because I want to remember. It's like my grandfather, prime example. My grandfather was my hero. Grandpa Richie was my hero. He was the man that, I'm a mechanic. He was a mechanic. I followed in his footsteps, and my mom started telling me stuff about him one day. And I said, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear those things, because he's my hero. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I totally understand. My Uncle Junior was my hero. He was like the greatest person that ever existed to me. When he came to our home, my life changed. It was just like, this is the person. He took me to every store trip. My Uncle Junior used to drink this wine called Irish Red Rose wine.
Really? That sounds wicked.
I know, man. And like, I called it Jesus juice for some reason, because, in church they give communion.
Okay.
So like, Uncle Junior, you got your Jesus juice. Every time he would go to the store, he would take me with him, and he would take my brothers too, but not every trip. He took me every single trip, and we went multiple times in that day. Wow. He had to get a new bottle, so I had to get me some new treats. And he was that guy that made, chaos, home, a battlefield, Disneyland, because we couldn't afford to go to places like that. But you asked me, how did I get into psychology? It was more of me trying to learn myself, trying to understand the world, because that wasn't my dream. My dream was to become a district attorney.
Really? Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. So the communication part of it, the communications and that I mean, I could see you being that. I could see you being an attorney. I really could. Cause I mean, I know you a little bit and I've seen you speak and things like that. And that's part of your makeup. I can see that. Yeah. So you went from psychology. So what, tell me about that transition from a major in psychology to going to work for a communications company.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. It was actually a time that I just had this idea, like I wouldn't mind working at a job that, had consistent income, and I just liked people. And I was thinking like, maybe working with cell phones would be fun. And I would see all these commercials about T-Mobile, and I love pink. That's one of my favorite colors. And it just stood out, and it just burned an image in my head. And I was like, I'm going to work for them one day. And I used to tell other people, you should go work there. They make good money.
Wow. Okay.
But I was in college, and I wasn't, able to do that at that time.
Okay. So you went into communications. You started working for T-Mobile. You were ground level.
Ground level.
Ground
yes.
level. You worked at the counter selling people cell phones.
No, actually, I started in customer service. So
Okay.
I started on those phones. The calls was coming in, beeping. It was stressful. I will never forget how.
So you weren't in the
hard my
retail
calls
side.
were.
You were in the help side.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Crushing pain points.
Okay. So you did a lot there. So what skills from these fields, psychology, communications, customer service, do you use most often today?
I would say I use emotional intelligence.
Explain that. Tell me how that works.
It works. When I was at T-Mobile grew me personally and professionally. I had a leader that, aimed to tell me, you're great, you hit all your numbers, you perform well. But I think what may help you very well is emotional intelligence. So we had a program called The Next Level,
Okay.
and that was for uprising leaders. And he had me just engaged in so many activities that was centered around emotional intelligence. And one of the things emotional intelligence did for me, it allowed me to be self-aware, understand, to take accountability for my own emotions first, understand what I'm feeling. How does it feel when it's happening? Take a moment to step back, count backwards, and learn, how to handle my own self.
So a little bit of the psychology background and
Yes.
training helped out there because you understood this.
Yes.
Where a lot of people don't have that gift or that pleasure of having that knowledge ahead of time when they have to start thinking about emotional intelligence. You know what I mean?
Yes, like what is EQ? People don't know what that is. They only focus on IQ.
Ah, there you go. I like that. EQ versus IQ. Okay.
Yes.
So moving to California. So what motivated you to move to California? And about 4 years ago?
I've been here going on 4 years in March. I actually took my very first trip on a plane, frightened of heights, to California. I went to Los Angeles. I was in college at that time. It was back in 2006. And I was like, this weather is great. These tacos are good. If I ever get the chance to move to California, I will. And so I was winning big at T-Mobile. I ran the number one team in the enterprise for consistently over a year. And I was a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted me to come out here and help them win, like I was winning in Tampa. So I took the opportunity. They paid full trip, moved me here. And that's how I got to Fresno, winning.
Is that where you donned the phrase "Quinn for the win"?
Actually, no, I did not get it there. I got that phrase in my name from an open house.
Really? We're going to get into that. We're
Got
going to transition into that right now. Actually, what? So moving here, you're winning.
Yes.
You've got a winning team. What made you, or how did you decide to pursue real estate? Where did that shift come?
Well, I said I was crazy, right?
Okay, you have said that.
I already had this mind of being a realtor back in 2006, but I never just had the confidence enough to do it. So when I was here in Fresno, out here, no family, no friends, I just picked it up and said, it's time for me to add something to myself. And I just felt like this was just the moment to do it. I started the company at I helped with the new launch and ramping the site in Kingsbury with T-Mobile, and I had a lot of issues, a lot of those. It was like a lot of people around me working that were new leaders and a lot of power control, and I had jumped back into the leadership program called the Leads at the site. I just had a lot of people, it was a lot of pressure around me. So I said, this is right here is probably not going to be the best fit for me. So I started studying for my real estate license. I put it down. I didn't have enough time to study but I got real serious about it in like March. And at that point, I just said, forget T-Mobile. I just walked away and quit the job.
Just cold turkey.
Yeah.
How'd you survive then? Because the real estate's not I'd say you and I started around the same time, and real estate's not an easy job or market to be in right now.
That's true. So I didn't even know that it wasn't. There goes again. I'm crazy. I had no clue. That part, I didn't do the research on that part. But what I did do was I started researching the city for scouting out who was the top agents, and I went and started interviewing them, introducing myself. I called them, hey, can I come in and meet you? I showed up at open house, and that's what landed me at the Zuber real estate team.
Zuber, I know him well. He's a friend of mine. I don't say a good friend, but I do know Zuber well. Okay, so what challenges? We're gonna backtrack a little bit, but what challenges did you face starting over in a new place and first California and then a new industry? What are some of the challenges you faced there?
No friends, no family. When I left my job, it got real dark for me in life.
I bet.
Yes. And then I met people along the way, but they turned out not to really have my best interests at heart. Mm-hmm. And I have to own that, because you don't expect people to come in and just love you and care about you and just pull you out of the mud. Mm-hmm. Especially when you made the decision to quit a job that you made the most money ever in your life at. So who's going to feel sorry for you?
Right. No, I get that. So you transition over into real estate, and you're doing pretty good. You're doing okay with it, right? I see you a lot. Your name and your face is out there, and you're active in organizations like Fresno YPN and maybe a couple others. What drives your involvement in those?
I pretty much did what I did when I worked at T-Mobile. I had to get exposure. So I took that same model and I transferred that into this industry. And I had to get there quickly. I was with the number one team, well polished. So that was a win. I got in that space. So that set me up to be at some of the best open houses there were. Mm-hmm. I started going to these and getting involved with the Young Professionals Network, which is YPN, meeting other people who's already been in it and affiliates. That got me exposure, and then getting into community outreach, just giving back. That gave me more exposure. Getting into Leadership Academy with Fresno Association of Realtors.
That was an amazing experience. I did that last year. So that was so much fun.
Yes.
It really was.
Georgia Meads, he just teaches me so much.
Mm-hmm. So why do you feel, we're going to talk about that. Why do you feel community leadership is so important and impactful?
I think leadership is very important because it's all about winning together.
Right. We talked about that on Tuesday when we did that little, because I would tell you something we're the Fresno Association of Realtors, and they had everybody put their cards in a basket, and then you pulled a card and then you went and interviewed that person. And then another person pulled your card and they interviewed you. So I happened to pull Quinn's card, and I went and interviewed her, and she talked about YPN and all the things that she does. And I actually had to put this together today on memory of 2 days ago. So, so community leadership is really important, and networking.
Yes.
I think networking. Well, how do you? What are some of the ways besides YPN and that? What are some of the open houses? What are some of the ways you network and you can share with other people that are looking to find that exposure?
That's a really good question. Networking is a big piece of it, right? Because you got to make those connections and you got to build relationships. I just did something on Tuesday. I had a wind down.
You did, and
Yeah.
I missed that, and I apologize. I was so busy.
There will be so many more. Everybody loved it.
I know, right? Do some more. I'm going to be there.
So, yes, been able to just utilize my personality and just be myself because I'm not afraid to meet people. I don't meet strangers. So at open house, I make friends.
Mm-hmm.
I meet a bestie. Everybody becomes my friend. I know your name from the door. Are you here to have a happy hour with me? Somebody told you about this happy hour. So we become friends. And even if we don't even turn into a transaction, it turns into a friendship. So I'm not more likely looking for a transaction. I'm really there to meet people, make connections.
You know, it's funny you say that because in any business or industry that you're in, relationship is where it starts. Friendship is where it starts. I learned that later in life. I mean, and I'll be honest, growing up even in my 40s, I was a taker. I'm like, what's in it for me? And now, you know, with my mechanics, I'm a mechanic and I love helping people and I love doing it. And the fact that I get paid for it is just a bonus. And that taught me, and you know, that rolls over into what we do is what comes from the heart, and getting paid for it is just a bonus. Am I correct to assume that?
Absolutely. That's correct. That's how I feel about real estate. That's why even if I don't make a transaction, I'm okay with it because I love it. This is something that's my passion. I want to change lives, create opportunities, and grow people.
That's awesome to hear. So as a mother of 3 daughters, how do you balance family and leadership? How does that work for you?
My 3 beautiful daughters actually are my why. They, you know, the way I spoke about how I went into foster care, I ran away too, but I wasn't running away from the winning spaces of life. I was running away from abuse, pain, right? Molestation. I was running away from all of those broken things. And in that space, you know, it was just like a blessing in disguise. My oldest daughter was produced. And that's how I became a teen parent. But my daughters are my why, and they kept me fueled. They keep me fueled. Mm-hmm. They keep me going. And I have to, I'm always like, I'm going to make you so rich one day that finance won't be anything you have to worry about. Money won't even be your concern. You'll be able to live your life and live and not just survive. That's my goal.
So it's about instilling the drive and the passion and what you do by example, showing them so that they can have that life too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sacrifice me so that one day that money is not their focus and that's not their motivator. Mm-hmm. Family is always first.
Okay. No, I like that. I even learned something off of that, so I appreciate that. So what roles do reading, and because I know you're a reader, and creativity, you like drawing. Uh-huh. You told me that the other day. And so what do those roles play in your life, and how do they help you with what your day-to-day?
Reading is one of those things that as a young, early in life, with all the distractions that I had, it was a challenge for me. But I always had a love for it. Like I wanted to know big words and learn more and more words. So throughout my day, I have a book. I always have a book with me. Like right now, I'm rereading this one book called The Seat of the Soul. And what it does is, even if I only get a page in, I learn something new, a different perspective. So that's why I love to read. Nice.
And reading, you know, it's back in the day, back in the 70s and that riff, reading is fundamental.
Yes.
Because it is. Mm-hmm. You know, and even all the stuff that I did in my life and the places that I'd been and the, I will say, secure facilities that I spent some time in, I read. I read and I read and I read. I read fiction, but I read, and I got literate. This was about literacy for me. And that translates into today. We talk about literacy, and we get to share our literacy and then teach people about like financial literacy and things like that. You know what I mean? So, so you don't watch much TV.
No.
And you never really have, right?
No, and I have 2 brand new TVs in my home, nice sizes, and they never been on probably about 2 to 3 times.
So what do you think staying away from TV has made such a difference for you?
Because I focus on growing within myself and healing internally. So I can't control external things. So only way I can control those is controlling the input.
Okay.
So TV puts a lot in your way, like a lot of negativity, the news, people dying, a lot of fear. It wants to invade, and I don't want that in me.
Right.
So
no, I get
avoid
it. There is a lot of fear out there.
Yes.
There's a lot of fear.
False evidence appearing to be real.
Right.
I just don't need that in my space.
There's 2 other ways to say it too.
Tell me more.
Face everything and rise.
Okay.
Or, this is a family show.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the first letter, F everything and run.
I love both of those. You got to write those down for me too, because I'm always looking to pick up.
So those are 2 choices we have with fear.
Yes.
We can either F everything and run, or we can turn around and face everything and rise. And I think you've chosen, and what I see in you is you've chosen to face everything and rise above it.
Absolutely.
And through it. Because we don't go around stuff. We don't ever go around anything that we're facing. We go through it. And the best way to do it is to go through it. Because if you don't go through it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to face it again. If you go around it, you've taken a different path around it. You're going to face that again. You have to go through it to be able to conquer it and put it absolutely behind you.
Yes, I'm glad that you said that, because that reminds me of how I even got to this book in the first place.
Okay, tell me that.
I was looking at a show of Oprah Winfrey, and
she
was
wrote
talking
one of the
about
forwards,
this
was
book.
it prefaces by Oprah Winfrey and Maya Angelou. So this got to be a powerful book.
Yes, so she speaks and says, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't realize that until she read this book. And being someone that comes from the same space, because she went to Tennessee State University.
Wow.
I grew up watching her. Her father owned a barbershop in Nashville, Tennessee. One of her cousins went to undergrad with me. And so I love me some Oprah. And so I had to go check this book out and understand, what is she talking about? Like, everything is happening to me. I'm living it. But after that, reading this book and processing that, I start looking at everything as everything is happening for me.
I like the fact that you brought a book in here that we can share with our audience. You know, that's awesome. I think that's great. And you said something here that says it either happens to you or happens for you, right?
Nothing happens to you. Everything happens for you.
But there's also, I have another perspective on
Ready
things.
for it.
And it's like, why people say, why is this happening to me? And I ask, is it happening to you, or did you choose to participate in it?
Okay.
There's a big difference there, because a lot of things that happened to what I felt happened to me in my life, I chose to participate in that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like when my son went off to college, and I won't say a whole bunch about it, but when my son went off to college, I said, do 2 things and you can, A and B, and you can write your own ticket by the time you're 25. He didn't do that. He put himself into a situation that got him in some trouble or whatever, not with the law, but in trouble with people. And it's like, why is this happening to me? No, you chose to participate in that event or whatever put you there. So, but it happened. And there again, I can pivot that around to say, it didn't happen to you. You chose to participate in it. So it happened for you to get better, because you went through it.
Yes.
You had the chance to go through it. And I will say, all those things that we think of that's happening to us are chances to go through it and come out the other side a better person.
And that's what this book speaks of.
I love it. I love it. So you're a very strong voice in the community. I said that the other day when I saw you. So what does being a strong voice mean to you? What is that?
I have not even sat down to even process that, because I hear people tell me often, you inspire me. And I say, wow. And they say it often. I love your energy, your calmness. I can feel it. And I'm still trying to take it all in because it's still blowing me, because I know who this little girl was. And I know what she had to get through and had to overcome. And so then I sit and I think about it. I'm like, shit, excuse my language. Girl, you definitely have a voice. You can help people. And what that means to me is that I can really help people believe. Like, I can be that one person that give someone a reason to believe
in themselves, in what they're doing, in moving forward, and getting through whatever they're going through. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So, how do you hope your daughters and others see your example?
For my daughters, my blueprints, that's what they are to me. Yeah. I love them with everything in me. And what I want them to know is that no matter what you face in life, sometimes you just got to be still and you got to sit in it. But you can get through everything if you keep your faith. I hope that I have been an example that keeping your faith is what keeps you moving forward. And that you can't depend on other people to feel obligated or required to pull you out of the mud. That on days that you're tired and you're sick and you don't feel like moving forward, you gotta have that why. And sometimes that why is not even yourself.
No.
It can be your daughters, it can be your sons, it could be your mother, your grandmother. It's somebody, because we're not in this thing alone. No matter how much we know that we are the human that's walking in it, but there is a higher power.
Absolutely. I believe that
getting us through it.
Yeah. And you got me choked up a little bit. I got it.
I'm sorry, because
no,
I'm over
don't
here
be
like
sorry.
a big crybaby.
That's okay. And you know what? But that's your heart. That's your heart. That's your passion.
Yeah.
And I love it. What you said a minute ago about when you're home and you're getting ready to leave the house and you just don't feel like doing it. You're just dragging. And I did that the other day. I was like, man, I just don't want to do this. Well, Tuesday. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, that morning, I'm sitting at home, I'm going, maybe I just won't go this morning.
Not on Monday, but on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Yeah, on Tuesday. And I got up and I got ready and I got in my car and I drove and I did some errands and I got over to FAR. And when I walked in the door, somebody came in and said, man, I could feel your energy from out there. Man, I'm like, what? But I came in with my head held high. And I call it, I'm just kind of coining a phrase, the mallard syndrome, mallard duck that's in the water and just floating, head held high, but you don't see underneath the water. Them feet are going 1,000 miles an hour.
Yes.
Right? They're just, that guy is, that duck, he's working his butt off to get through the water to get where he's going. And sometimes it's against the current.
Yes.
And that's how I felt that day. But you know what? Suit up and show up and do what I'm supposed to do. And then when it starts to make a difference, my feet can slow down and say, I'm here. I made it here. Yes. So now I can relax and enjoy. And we actually had a great meeting that day. We actually had a great interview and all that, and we connected, and here you are.
Yes.
So I love that. So what's next for you? Leadership, real estate, service. What's next for you in those areas?
What's next for me, I believe, is becoming a broker.
Okay.
Yeah, that's next.
That's just it. That's next. What about in leadership or in community, in your service for the community? YPN, Where do you go?
I'm doing it again next year.
You're doing it again next year. Okay. Now, are you going to go out on your own and do your own brokerage, or are you going to do an associate broker, or how does that look for you? I mean,
that's funny that you asked, because I just recently became a solo agent. I just took that leap of faith, and I'm no longer on the team anymore. So I'm with Real Broker. I think I may have to think a little bit more on it, because I do like Real and what Real has going on. So I don't even really want a team, but I just want to develop a space for agents to come and work and feel some energy and get a better split.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's important to have people make some money, allow people to make some money. Okay. So, we've gone through all this and the emotions and all that. And I just have to say this, and I'm going to say this for my...
Are you going to make me cry again?
Maybe. You are a force to be reckoned with in our community, in our industry. You really are. I see you when I first saw you, and you just speak out. You say what's on your mind.
I'm crazy.
You are crazy. But you know what? It's a good crazy. Okay. And so here's the thing. Being crazy isn't a problem as long as our crazies, if we're in a room, as long as our crazies match.
Got it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think in the industry and in the room of the MLS and some of the places that you go, your crazy tends to match some of the other crazies in the room. So we all just kind of go.
We're just all crazy.
Yeah, we're just all crazy. So where can listeners connect with you or learn more about your work?
I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook, but more of Instagram, because sometimes I take social media breaks from Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. You have to. Okay. So I want you to leave our listeners with a final thought from our winner in the room, or one of the winners in the room, I'm going to say.
Yes.
Any final encouragement for listeners about leadership or community service? If someone's looking, like, let's say they're where you're at, they just are a blank slate and they're new, what would you tell them?
I will first say work, think, and serve. Something I learned a long time ago in my undergrad years. That was our motto at Tennessee State University. So no matter where I go, I'm going to always be thinking, working, and serving. And if I'm a new agent, I'll do exactly what Quinn did, is do the research, have a learning mindset, the ability to learn, and be very, take ownership of that, be accountable for it. So what that looks like is pull them up, find out what people's reviews are saying, find out who's the top around you, go interview them, get a feel for them, because you have to hire that team.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that, because in the other industry I'm in right now, where we're sitting is, they say your top five. If your top five aren't pushing you to do what your desires are, change your top five. Right? Mm-hmm. So I had a top five, but I came in here and my top five pushed me to write my book this year. They pushed me to do this podcast. They pushed me to publish other materials for my notary business on my own. They've pushed me to be a different force in the community and help people, and they've really given me a drive. So those top five people are probably some of those, and one of them is Stacy Wu. She's the Wu, right? So those people are my top five. So that's what I say, is I say, if your top five aren't encouraging you and pushing you to be better, change your top five. Do you agree
Absolutely.
with that? All right. Well, Quinn, I really am glad. She actually, I'm going to tell you this. She actually came to me when we were in our interview the other day, because I had asked her a while back hey, I need to get you in a podcast. And then things just went crazy. And she goes, well, I'm still waiting for you to get me on your podcast. So here we are. So there's that voice of just saying what she wants. And I love that. And I'm glad she said it. So you know what? If you have a voice, if you have a story, if you have something of where you came from and you want to share it with your sphere, get in touch. EvansLegacyFinancial.com. Drop me a note, share and subscribe. for more stories of leadership, resilience, and purpose. Quinn, thank you again for coming in.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more real conversations that move the needle in life and business. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and never stop chasing what matters.